Welcome, everybody. We decided to start right when God said the sun was going to come out, so we knew this was our cue. Thank you for joining us here today. I'm Brian Kenner. I'm the Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development. We have a heck of a crowd out here. I don't know if you guys have seen yourself, but you guys deserve a round of applause. That is a huge crowd, obviously, for a big event for us. We are celebrating the groundbreaking for the historic Franklin School to be the new Planet of the Word Museum, a project that has been long in the making, both on the museum side, but also long in the making for the historic reuse of the Franklin School. So we are very happy to be here. You're going to hear a lot of thank yous today. There's sort of a direct relationship between the number of thank yous and the difficulty of projects, if you didn't know that. And so this one deserves a lot of thank yous. It literally took a village to get this one across. So I'm going to start with just a few. First, obviously, want to really thank Ann and Steve Friedman and the Planet Word team. They have been phenomenal and really bringing this historic asset back to life. So thank you, Planet Word team. Many members of the Deputy Mayor's Office for Planning and Economic Development. This school is in DEMPED's portfolio. And so there took a lot of people within the Deputy Mayor's Office to make sure that the real estate part of the transaction also worked. So very much want to thank Sheil Stucker, Alex Hutchinson, Kate Hardig, who helped to put today's event on, along with Jessica Carroll, Shonda Washington, Jay Sarubian, a great lawyer in our office, and a special thank you to Sarosh Opadwala, who unfortunately could not be here today, but Sarosh really will go down as one of the people who ensured. Oh, he's right there. Everybody should give Sarosh a round of applause. Sarosh, thank you for all that you have done to get this project finished. Lots of other agencies were involved. DC Arts and Humanities Commission, Callie Wasinko, Jeffrey Scott. We also have our chair, Kay Kendall, which I thought I saw Kay around here, but I'm sure she is here somewhere. Kay, thank you very much, Kay, for all of your work on this. I think we have some representatives from the Office of the Chief Financial Officer that's here, so thank you, Wharton, and all the OCFO folks. Thank you to the Office of Planning. I know that there are some people from the Office of Planning. We have Todd Lee, our Housing Finance Agency Director. Thank you, Todd, for showing up. We have Polly Donaldson, our Department of Housing Community Development Director. We have Anna Smith, Deputy Mayor for Education. We have Haisuk Chung, our Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services. We'd also like to thank DDOT and DCRA for ensuring that our shots are clear today, that we do not have food trucks here today. They're around the corner. They'll be coming back. Don't worry about that. They'll be coming back. Also, very much want to thank many of the community members that have been with this project over many of its iterations, and that's ANC2F, Kevin Deely, and Adam Beebe. Thank you very much for all of your work to ensure that this important project occurred. We also have, and he'll be speaking a little bit later, our Ward 2 council member. You're in Ward 2 right now, our Ward 2 council member, Jack Evans. Thank you, Jack, for all of your work. And perhaps a final thank you, an important thank you. If people remember, early in 2015, there was a decision to not move forward with one option for this school and to effectively go back to the drawing board and see if we could do something as good, if not better. And that decision, I was actually on the way over here, I was looking at many of the articles that were written by a number of publications criticizing that decision. Saying that we were being too cautious. There was a little bit of risk. Actually, there was a lot of risk with that proposal, which is one of the reasons why we stepped away from it. But there's a lot of critiques about that decision. And that decision to move forward was not without risk. And I very much want to thank Mayor Bowser for taking on that risk and deciding that we could do something as good, if not better. And I think that's exactly what we have here today. So thank you, Mayor Bowser, for your leadership for this project. This project is also personally important to me. I've been around the Deputy Mayor's Office for a long time, so I've seen 4, I think, iterations of what could happen here at the Franklin School. And it's a difficult project. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. It is historic, both exterior and parts of the interior. It's expensive to do, and we know that it could provide an opportunity to create value here in our downtown. This is one of the places where we're trying to do more activation. The park that you're sitting in soon, we hope, will have greater activation thanks in part to the downtown bid and many efforts from Mayor Bowser's administration, but the school as well. It has been used before as a homeless shelter. It has been used before for Occupy DC. It has been used by a variety of different uses, but the core of it, I think, is that what it can provide in terms of the rich culture, the educational background of the school, the historic elements of the school, and really the opportunity to be able to provide an important arts related use, which is why we are so happy that Planet Word, a new museum, will be open to people to continue to carry forward that mission and that history. One of the things that also I think is very important about this project is that it speaks to Washington, D.C. and continuing to evolve. We have lots of historic structures in the District of Columbia, and the opportunities to be able to reuse those historic structures to take not only to be sensitive to what has happened in the past, but to think about, to really vision what has happened in the future is really a rare opportunity. And it takes visionaries in many ways to get to projects like that, which is why I'm very happy to be able to introduce the person who is responsible for not only being sensitive to many of the elements of the past, but really helping us to create a vision that is sensitive to the arts and culture usage of this, but is also going to be a great driver of people and visitors and really education going forward. She also happens to be a native Iowan, like myself, so that can't hurt her as well. So I would very much like to welcome up Anne Friedman.
Thank you to Deputy Mayor Kenner for those kind words. Wouldn't expect anything less from a fellow Iowan. I'm excited and privileged to be here with you and the mayor and Councilmember Evans today, and with our friends and neighbors and supporters. And thank you, Flo Anito, for setting an example of what we can do with words. Write songs, celebrate, and bring people together. But what makes me happiest today lies right across the street behind me, the glorious Franklin School. Seeing the lights come back on and the rooms restored to their former grand scale is absolutely thrilling to me. The Franklin School makes a perfect home for Planet Word, the museum I've been working to found for the past 5 years. I believe that words and language deserve to be showcased in a national museum. After all, language is what makes us human. It's our original technological breakthrough. It's our superpower. But even though we've all been collecting words from the day we were born, we've never had a museum to honor them. Words allow us to sing, joke, chant, pray, tell stories, write poems, debate, rap, and rhyme. Shouldn't there be a place to show how words do all that with fun and style and verve? And what better place could there be than a beloved National Historic Landmark named for printer, writer, and patriot Benjamin Franklin, a spacious building just waiting to be reanimated for public use. So thank you, Mayor Bowser, Councilmember Evans, and your teams for what is truly a match made in heaven. Now, you're probably wondering, what is a museum of words and language? And I'm not surprised, because Planet Word is one of a kind. There isn't another museum like it anywhere in the world. We've invented something totally new, a museum without a collection, one built on nouns, verbs, adjectives, puns, questions, and quotations, on bonjour and arigato and ma'asalama. In the museum's galleries, you'll sing and tell jokes and deliver speeches and paint with words. In the auditorium, you'll watch plays and hear poetry slams and listen to best-selling authors. In the restaurant, you'll find wordplay on the menu. Want some chocolate milk Shakespeare to go with that Gutenberger and a synonym bun? And maybe you're wondering why this is so important to me. Well, for nearly a decade, I lived in the Middle East, in Beirut and Jerusalem, two world capitals synonymous with civil strife and division. People were separated by lines they didn't dare cross, and literally and figuratively, they didn't speak the same language. I vowed that when I moved back to the United States, I'd do something to help build community, to bring people together. So my hope for Planet Word is that it will do just that. Use words to bring people together, not to divide, to promote civil dialogue, persuasion, and compromise, the verbal tools of democracy. And what better place than right here in the nation's capital, where we're surrounded in gleaming marble and bronze by words our democracy was founded on. We are a nation bound together by shared words, by our written Constitution, by 20 years ago, by we hold these truths to be self-evident, by injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We need to stop and think about those words every time we pass by them on our city's revered memorials. Yes, it's time already for a museum of words, and Planet Word is just the place. But no museum can be created without the contributions of many people. So thank you first and foremost to my husband, Tom, who has been my constant, unflagging cheerleader throughout this process, always boosting my morale and giving me shout-outs. And and to Planet Word's phenomenal executive director, Patty Isaacson-Savy. Patty, wherever you are. And our tiny but mighty staff, a huge thank you for laying the groundwork for today's ceremony and for what will be a truly state-of-the-art original museum. And thank you to our architects at Beyer Blinder Bell and our contractor, Whiting Turner Construction, who cares so much about the project and respecting the Franklin School's remarkable architecture. And thank you to our generous early donors, some of whom are here with us today. Thank you to Bloomberg Philanthropies for stepping forward with our first leadership gift, and to Jackie and Mike Bezos, Ann and John Doerr, and several anonymous donors for equally extraordinary and important early gifts. And today, I'd like to announce our first corporate gift, $1 million from AT&T. Wouldn't Alexander Graham Bell be excited to know that the company he started is now helping bring words and life to the very same building where he sent a message using light on, get this, June 3rd, 1880, 138 years ago, almost to this very day. When Bell sent what he called a photophone message from the Franklin School's rooftop, he wrote, "Picture what the future of this invention will be. We may talk by light to any visible distance without any conducting wire. Discoveries will be made by the photophone that are undreamed of just now." And how right he was. And that technology is going to drive several of the amazing experiences visitors will have at Planet Word, and which our donors are helping make happen. We hope you'll join them. Now, to give you a sample of the kind of programming we hope to bring to the museum, let me introduce the 2018 DC Youth Poet Laureate, Anaya Smith, a writer who knows the power of words. Please welcome Anaya to the stage.
Hi, so like she said, my name's Anaya. I'm here to share some words with you guys because that's what I do. This poem may not seem like it's directly about words, but at the end of the day, the words that I write, I often say give voice to black and brown bodies who at times don't get voices. So this is what this poem's about. And maybe black girl magic stems from our ability to become vanishing acts, to disappear with the night or with the turn of someone's cheek, to go without a sound, without a word, without nobody seeing nothing other than the fact that she was black. Seeing just enough to contort a story that sounds more like consent, even though stop, don't touch me, don't sound much like consent, but didn't nobody ever ask a black girl permission for her body anyways. To society, she be more product than person, and everyone knows a commodity can be bought and sold to the highest bidder, or stolen by the most entitled ego, stolen from a homeland, or stolen from her future possibilities, or stolen from her innocence. This kind of inheritance be a magic none of us ask for, be the part no one wants to talk about. Instead, we say things like, my skin absorbs sun rays and my hair defies gravity. Of course, I am magic. Or black women are made of brown sugar, cocoa, honey, and gold, when really we mean black women are made of inherited fear, the art of fight, and the ability to disappear, all held up by a strong backbone bent under the weight of a nation trying to bury them, a nation killing off the parts of them they think unmanageable, then selling the desirable bits to any culturally appropriating celebrity in need of a trend booster, trying to convince them that they do black better than us, that we aren't even needed anymore, that it looked better on someone else, turning our pearls into a noose so it seems like they aren't the one manning the rope, like they aren't the one pulling the trigger, turning me into another face not worthy of a movement, because a black girl don't make a good enough news story. No one expected her to have a happy ending anyways. They thought if they ignored her long enough, she would just go away, she would just disappear. Because isn't that all a black girl is good for anyways? Being a body, then vanishing when she is no longer convenient. I guess it's easier to go without a sound, without a word, when you were never given a voice in the first place. Now, it is my great honor, perhaps the coolest thing I've ever gotten to do, will ever get to do. It's my extreme honor to introduce the phenomenal and inspirational Mayor Bowser.
Let's give Anaya another round of applause. Our poet laureate. Well, I am very happy to be here with all of you to celebrate a real milestone for the Franklin School. I want to thank Deputy Mayor Brian Kenner, Sarosh Padwala, the entire team at the Deputy Mayor's Office for Planning and Economic Development. Let's give them a big round of applause. Was a really, really huge lift and one well worth it. Jack Evans, who has been just a real champion for Franklin School, Franklin Park, in making sure that this part of our city is added back to the fabric of life here. It's been unused too long, this park underutilized too long, and I'm very happy to say that today we have a a real vision for both. Brian talked to you about some tough decisions we had to make early on, and we knew then that they were the right ones. What we wanted to be able to do was stand here today and say we have a real vision, a real plan, and that this building will go from being the beautiful building it is to be filled with a program that, as you heard from Anaya, will bring words to life right here in our city. We get the opportunity very frequently in a beautiful city like ours to remake history. I think this project demonstrates just how you can have historic preservation and have wonderful community-supported economic development. It's also apropos that we are here at this park. We have been working very hard with our downtown business improvement district to reimagine this park. And because of some hard work with the United States Congress and the National Park Service and the commitment of DC taxpayers, we soon will be able to re-envision this park as well. I didn't want to speak long. I know we're talking about words, but sometimes words are good when they're short. But it is important to be able to stand here and tell the taxpayers of the District of Columbia that we've done the right things in bringing this building back, working with Ann Friedman and her incredible team, she is bringing in a lot of private sector support to bring this building back to life. And it's going to add to the wonderful set of options that more than 20 million people come to DC every single year to see our parks, to see our museums, to visit our attractions. And now, very soon, they will be visiting Planet Word. So thank you to everyone involved.
Thank you, Mayor Bowser. Continuing on with the program, I'd like to welcome up Ward 2 Councilmember Jack Evans.
Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, we can do better than that. Good afternoon. This is a real celebration we're having today. Isn't it a great celebration? We're very excited that Franklin School is going to become the new home of Planet Word. So I want to begin by thanking our mayor. Our mayor has done just a fabulous job in her 4 years in office, not only here, but across the city, making the District of Columbia, without a doubt, the most dynamic city in America. Mayor Bowser, thank you for all you've done. And as a new mother, give her a big round of applause as a new mother. As a father of triplets, it's a lot of work. So congratulations to you. And certainly to Ann Friedman. Ann, thank you. Where are you, Ann? When Ann first came to my office and said, you know, we have an idea for the Franklin School. We're going to make it a museum of the word. And I thought to myself, and I thought I heard it all. What is that? But what a great concept that has been proposed here for this building. And when it opens, it is going to be a phenomenal attraction for all of us because it'll be unique. As was mentioned, it doesn't exist anywhere else. You know, I have a history here. I've been on the council 27 years now, longest serving council member in the history of the council. And I remember the first meeting I had involving this building. I sat down with President Washington and Pierre L'Enfant. And I said, look, what are we going to do here? Time went on. Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass and I met right in front, talking again about what are we going to do with the Franklin School. And we find ourselves here today after a long iteration of many ideas getting this done. And I do, on a serious note, every time some new person would come in, I'd say, there are two schools, Mayor, right? Two schools in my ward, Stevens and Franklin. And under Mayor Bowser's watch, we got them both done. And that is really a tremendous accomplishment. Tremendous accomplishment. And so this is a very exciting day for the District of Columbia. I do want to take this opportunity again to single out Brian Kenner. Brian is our Director, Deputy Mayor for Economic Development. And under his watch over the last 4 years, we have had just phenomenal economic development projects, many that had been stuck in the pipeline, completed. So Brian and his entire staff, thank you again. Thank you again for all that you have done. So I just want to join with all of you to thank everyone involved in this project. And as a politician, we are really excited about groundbreakings, but what are we more excited about? Ribbon cuttings! And so I look forward to seeing you all back here next year for the ribbon cutting of Planet Word at the Franklin School. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Councilmember Evans. Thank you to Anaya for her beautiful words, and thank you, Mayor Bowser. Mayor Bowser, your team of Sarosh Olpadwala, Deputy Mayor Kenner, and Gilles Stucker worked tirelessly to help us to a lease closing. So here we are. So now, Mayor Bowser, I'd like to congratulate you on becoming a mother and extend a personal invitation to you and Miranda to come for lunch at Planet Word when we open. I think by then, Miranda will be just about ready for a bowl of alphabet soup with a PB&J or a BLT. So, at Planet Word, we're blessed to have a great governing board and a 43-member advisory board of distinguished linguists, poets, singers, teachers, authors, all of whom are guiding us to build a smart and cutting-edge museum. With us here today is Planet Word Advisory Board member and New York Times best-selling young adult author, Jason Reynolds. He'll speak about the importance of words to him. Also with us is Planet Word Board member Ralph Smith, the director of the Campaign for Grade Level Reading, one of our original board members and thought leaders. And board member Ann Doerr, who will explain why she flew all the way from California to join us here today and why she has been a huge supporter of Planet Word from day one.
Good. Is it morning? Good afternoon. How y'all doing? All right. So first, let me say really quickly, because we got to make sure you honor your young folks. Anaya, I see you out here. It's funny, 20 years ago, I was bumbling up and down U Street, popping into begging them to let me in the clubs that I wasn't supposed to be in so I could sit in the back and wait for them to call my name to get up so I could read my poems. So it's always heartening for me to see young people as talented, because you're far more talented than I was back then, doing this. So shout out to you, homie. It's good to see you. Thank you for that. And for your courage to say the things that got to be said sometimes, even when it's a little uncomfortable. But what I'm here to say today is, the truth of the matter is that when I was on U Street bumbling around trying to find my way, the reason that I was on U Street at that time, the reason why I was writing poetry at that time is because language, as far as I knew it, had been disrespected. My language, the one that I was connected to, that which felt most natural in my mouth, had been told by everybody around me, my teachers and educators, that it was improper, incorrect, and that it did not have a place in the academy or in any other space in my life that wasn't my home. And what that does to people, especially if you are young, is that it devalues who you are. If language is the cornerstone of culture, and you've been telling me my language is wrong, then what you are telling me is that my culture inherently is wrong. And so as I got older, and I realized that perhaps there's a fallacy in that. Perhaps that my language is my power. Perhaps what we saw Anaya do and what so many of us have been doing for so long is the key to our liberation, but also sort of the protective bubble that we have to create for ourselves in order to navigate these spaces. Perhaps that's like really where the value is. Perhaps it's in the devaluing of that for so long that I realized as I got older, right, the things that are oftentimes devalued is really being devalued because everybody's afraid of the actual power that those things hold, right? Now that I'm an adult, I've dedicated my entire life. It's been 14, 15 years in the literary industry. I've written 14 books, including Miles Morales, which for those of you who don't know is Black Spider-Man for Marvel. And I've been able, thank you. And the reason why, though, the reason behind it is because I have to make sure that young people growing up today, who are growing up like I grew up, who are growing up in marginalized communities, no matter where you are and what your languages are or whatever iterations of said language, I need them to know that their language and therefore their culture is valuable. And so these books have served as my personal museums and the museums that I've been creating over the years for young people around America and parts of the world. So it means the world to me now to stand here on the advisory board of Planet Word, knowing that now there's an actual museum where my words, my language is going to live, to be valued, to be studied. It has a history. It has codes. It is not something that we throw around lightly. We don't just make up words to sound cool. You can use them as that, which many of you do. But the truth is that for us, they are rooted in a culture that means the world to many of us. So thank you, Ann, for giving us a space to house those words in real time for everybody to come and study. Appreciate y'all. Peace.
Good afternoon. I have the honor, I think, of having to follow Jason. And Jason, just to tell you there's justice in the world, you had to follow Anaya. Good morning. I am here today because Ann Friedman has been an exemplar of her message that words matter. Ann Friedman took this vision of hers and deployed an army of words to make that vision graspable and palpable. She deployed that army of words to mobilize and to motivate. And she used that army in the best possible way to inspire us and to make us believe. First, we had to care. Then we had to imagine. And then we had to believe that each of us on the advisory board, each of us on the board, Planet Word Board, she made us believe that we could play a role in creating something that never was. And I know I speak for all my colleagues on the advisory board and on the Planet Word Board when I say, Ann, we are grateful to you for taking us on this spectacular, glorious journey that took us to this day. Thank you, Ann. We are grateful for a wonderful advisory committee, a committed and diligent board, and we want to thank the District of Columbia for making it possible for the Franklin School to be the home of Planet Word. The institution that will thrive right here is important not just for the residents and students of this community and for the many who will travel to visit the nation's capital. We believe that it is important for our country. Our country needs a beacon to shine a light on the joy and the pleasure of reading and the words and language that come with it. This beacon is important to our capacity to achieve our utmost potential as a nation, and the essence of a nation, the informed citizenry upon which this nation depends, desperately need a place where we understand that words matter, that words can elevate, and words can denigrate. that words could push us apart or words could bring us together. And because of Planet Word, that world of words will exist. And it will exist where it ought to exist, here in our nation's capital, on Franklin Square, and in the Franklin School. On behalf of my colleagues on the board and the advisory board, we are grateful to all of you who had a hand in this, and to all of you who are here today to join us in this celebration. Thank you.
Goodness, I always have to follow other important people, and Ralph is one of them. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Doerr. I've come from Silicon Valley, where words really matter. My adult life has been involved in engineering, is my background. And in order to really be an entrepreneur and to fuel the industry in Silicon Valley, you have to deal with words in a very precise way. So words really do fuel the economy, as well as what Ralph was saying, fuel our culture and our understanding. My background is I've been involved at UCSF. I've been involved in my daughter's school, my alma mater. I am board chair of Khan Academy. We're effectively in 15 million students' lives on a daily basis. And when Anne asked me to be a board member, first of all, I've known Anne for a number of years. I've known that Anne never does anything halfway. She does everything beautifully and perfectly, to the point that she was able to work with the mayor to secure the Franklin School. It is a absolutely beautiful building. I'm an architecture junkie as well, and I think you'll see that when you have a chance to be inside the museum. When my husband and I looked at this opportunity, it was a no-brainer in terms of would we want to fund it, would we want to be part of it. So my ask for all of you here is, would you please invest in our vision? Make a gift in honor of your favorite word, song, teacher, or poet. Every dollar clearly makes a difference. Tell everyone you know about Planet Word. Help us build a network of supporters and advocates around the world to let them know about Planet Word. Visit the website. Sign up for the newsletter. Continue to keep you informed of the progress of what's going on. And finally, come back and celebrate with us next year. You can't believe the exhibits and the ideas that Anne has fueled with this wonderful Planet Word. Thank you again, Mayor, for housing us.
Thank you so much, Jason, Ralph, and Anne. And now, I'd like to introduce our incredibly talented exhibit designer, Jake Barton, founder of Local Projects. He'll describe 3 of the museum's 10 immersive galleries. You'll hear how his firm's amazing designs will really bring language to life at Planet Word.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, that's right. I did that again, just like many speakers. But I did it for a particular reason. We've heard that language is a superpower, and that's true. But specifically, what kind of superpower is it? Well, as you can see, when I say good afternoon and you reply, that's right, it's a form of mind control. Think about it. Something miraculous just happened. I, an organism just like any other that's walking this earth, my little diaphragm went like this. Some air escaped out of my mouth and actually formed specific phonemes, little sounds. Completely arbitrary, has no relevance to what I'm trying to communicate. And that air pushed a little piece of technology here, which pushed it out to you and entered into your minds and made images appear. That is a miracle. And it's not just a miracle for us today, it's a miracle for every moment of our lives, and it literally created the humanity that we are part of today. What I just did is part of what we're trying to do with Planet Word, which is to show and not tell. We are not an artifact-driven museum. You won't see giant cases with dusty old objects. You are going to hear the living, vibrant impact of language for each of us personally and for our overall society. Therefore, it's most of all going to be a museum of dialogue, of back and forth, of talking and of listening, of hearing and of responding. And as such, we're proud to announce that today we are going to be building the world's first voice control museum. We're using a form of technology that allows you to literally speak, to be analyzed, to be in dialogue, and to have conversation back and forth with the museum itself. Now, who is this museum for? This museum is for anybody who's ever gone to a wedding and found themselves crying over an amazing quote from Shakespeare. Anybody who's put a particular hip-hop song on repeat so they could hear every single line, every single word, every single syllable over and over again. This is for you if you've gone to a karaoke event and laughed so hard you couldn't imagine life being funnier. Or if you've heard an incredible speech and a piece of rhetoric that made you literally want to serve your country for the betterment of all of us. Planet Word is a space where we're creating experiences about how we can be transformed and how we can use language. So I'm going to go over just 3 quick examples today. The first, and you can see images that correspond to what I'm describing here, is a huge word wall, over 20 feet tall. There's over 1,000 words that are made manifest, and you'll be hearing the voice almost incredibly of the English language, not just speaking at you, but talking with you. I'll give you the answer in just a second, but one of the questions that it has is, what is the oldest word in the entire world? And think about it, how would we know that? How would you even research that? How would you reach back the thousands, hundreds of thousands of years to understand what maybe even the first word was? In our case, we know, again, because of our magical superpower, we know because of how we form words. And the specific word that I'm thinking of is oftentimes, if not almost always, the first word that humans speak. And they don't just speak it here using English. They use Spanish or almost every single language around the world. And I'm thinking of the word mama. This word that many of us, if not all of us, use as our first word is the word itself that naturally comes out of our mouths when we look at oftentimes the first thing that we look at. And that's just one example of what this word wall is going to be conversing with you about. Second of all, we want to share an amazing experience where you are able to paint with words. So again, we're using technology to create magical paintbrushes. And those paintbrushes, you can dip literally one word into another. And you can dip verdant or frigid. You can dip chilly or snowing. And literally paint on a wall using video projectors, different scenes, and understand what these different complex words that are producing for all of us. And then lastly, as the sort of core, the heart of the museum is on the very top. You can see that triple height space in the middle is going to be filled with a huge LED ball, not dissimilar to the magical ball that echoes in Times Square every New Year's Eve. So it's going to be surrounded with LEDs, and it's going to represent the globe itself. And you're going to understand in this space a range of amazing stories of different languages from around the world and how they connect person to person. So how many people here know the word schadenfreude, for example? Yes. So schadenfreude, much like the meaning of a word, is sort of deliciously naughty, right? Schadenfreude is when you take joy in someone else's stumbles or misfortune. And it's sort of funny, right? The fact that here using English, we've actually absorbed that word. And this room will go over different special words in all of these different languages from around the world. But today, I want to introduce a new word to you that actually has some connection to schadenfreude. Can you say it with me? It's called vergun. Go ahead and say it. Vergun. That's right. Vergun is the opposite of schadenfreude. It's in Hebrew. And it is the unselfish joy of participating in someone else's achievement or within their blessings. And I say to you today, we have achieved that both for everyone here and everyone who will reach Planet Word when we open. See you at the opening. Thank you.
And one more time, and then you're done with me. So thank you, Jake. You can see why it's so great to work with his firm. They are just full of ideas and enthusiasm and have brought all of our ideas to life. Our last guest is Jocelyn Ford. She's another local artist who has shown us the power of words, creativity, and talent. Here's Jocelyn. She's going to perform her original song, Caged Bird, inspired by Maya Angelou. Jocelyn?
Hello. How are you all? So, before I start, as you know, this is inspired by Maya Angelou. And it is actually what started me writing songs because her work was so empowering to me. Okay. I know why the caged bird sings, hoping one will hear their screams, chirping their lives away. I know why the caged bird sings, hoping one will hear their screams, chirping their lives away. Bird in a cage with clipped wings, singing a song so beautifully, waiting for someone to listen. No wings to fly, too much hope to die, that's how they show they're still alive by singing this song. I know why the caged bird sings, hoping one will hear their screams, chirping their lives away. I know why the caged bird sings, hoping one will hear their screams, chirping their lives away. Poor little bird with the wrong key doesn't realize they could truly be free if they look in themselves. Open your mind, open your heart, shed some light on what seems dark, then you can truly be free. I know why the caged bird sings, hoping when we hear their screams, chirping their lives away. I know why the caged bird sings, hoping when we hear their screams, chirping their lives away. Give me some hope, give me some peace, give me something to believe, give me a reason for life. Give me some hope, give me some peace, give me something to believe, give me a reason for life. I know why the caged bird sings, hoping when we hear their screams, chirping their lives away. I know why the caged bird sings, hoping when we hear their screams, chirping their lives away. And all you have to do is open the cage, or just open the cage. Open the cage, or just open the cage. And that is caged birds.
Let's give it up one more time. That was good. It's very rare that we get music, poetry, action at our groundbreakings at DemPed. We're going to have to make this a part of every single groundbreaking we do in the Deputy Mayor's office. We've reached the end of our program. We've got just one more thing left, which is we're going to take some pictures up front here. But really, again, want to thank everybody for showing up. I think that this day will literally go down in history as an opportunity for the district to really envision a part of its future, to be able to make a place and to set a tone for what we think we want Washington to be. So, again, thank you very much, Ann, for all that you have done here for Planet Word, Tom Friedman, everyone. Thank you for everything that you all have done to make sure that the Planet Word is successful. With that, I'm going to ask for the folks to come on up front here. We're going to take a quick picture.